And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another week of WWE Wrestling. I am here once again with my fellow co-hosts Seth Cole and Kyle Matthews. Gentlemen, what a week it's been.
Yeah, bad Raw and a good Smackdown.
Yeah.
What else is new there?
Yeah,
Oh, by
good
the way,
point.
I've talked to my lawyer, Seth, and we're all ready to sue WWE.
I
Oh.
hope so, because the fact that they specifically did it for SmackDown, too, makes it even worse.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, for those of you that don't know,
We are
YW
trendsetters, basically.
Yeah, YWC was a thing that me, Kyle, and Seth have done for WWE 2K16 and 17, basically. For those
I'm gonna
games.
go, actually, keep talking, I'm gonna go back and see when that video was posted.
Seth had an idea. Seth ran SmackDown and I ran Raw. Kyle was just a commentator that commentated for both shows.
And who lost to Charles Robinson, but
Yeah,
let's not hash over that.
Charles Robinson, yep. Anyways.
Really had to bring that up, but okay.
Yep, sorry.
Anyways, but Seth had an idea to do our pay-per-view came up for Money in the Bank. I had the one for Raw, he had the one from SmackDown. But he had the idea of making us a women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And while it wasn't specifically the same same women who's in the match in real life, the point is that it was our idea first, and the WWE needs to hire us for the writing team. That's
October 20th, 2016. It was our brainchild.
Yep, that was basically our idea, and that's what we're suing for, is to be hired on the writing team.
Okay,
Because this isn't the first time.
No, and if Nikki Bella makes a surprise return, enters the match, and wins it, we have a case for sure.
Yes, we definitely do.
Yes, we do. Stealing our ideas. But anyways, we're here to review Raw and SmackDown of this week, and of course we're going to start with Raw. And starting things out with the Miz TV segment featuring Cesaro and Sheamus. Well, I don't know what you guys think. Miz is always a good talker. He definitely knows how to get heat.
Yeah, I mean, Miz is kind of one of those, I guess you could say, like an old school heel, because nowadays it seems like everybody wants to cheer on the heels, and boo a lot of the faces. Miz is one of the best heels at actually getting heat. It's like people legit do not like this guy. They want to see him get his ass kicked every opportunity that they get. And you just don't see that from a lot of heels nowadays.
Yeah.
Not only that, but to be honest, I think I don't want to say the last year, it's actually been less than that. It's almost been like the last 9 months. Really come into his own. I mean, they really tried giving him that major push back when he was, WWE champion against John Cena with that whole feud. It, to me, never really stuck. This has been the prime spot of his career. And to be honest, I think they got to continue it on because, like you said, he has been the one that has really been able to purposely get heat on him. I mean, I think Roman Reigns surpasses him in that category, but it's not on purpose that he's trying to get the heat. Miz purposely tries to get the heat, and he delivers.
Yeah. And yeah, it just the Miz is, I think personally, with how hard that the Miz has worked in his career, he's worked his ass off. He's been Intercontinental Champion 6 times. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. 6 times, but it's only been WWE Champion once. If you ask me, I personally think that The Miz can be a future Universal Champion and actually make the title work.
He can, but I'm afraid he's fallen into Ziggler status, where he's basically now all you're going to see him do is battle for mid-card title.
I really hope not, because The Miz deserves a hell of a lot much more, in my opinion. But anyways, as we're going to move on, that eventually evolved into a 6-person tag match with The Miz, Cesaro, and Sheamus versus Dean Ambrose and the Hardy Boys. And besides a botch in that match, it was actually a pretty good match.
Yeah, Ambrose ended up interrupting the the Miz TV segment and said, I need to, somebody needs to come out here, shut your mouth, and I'm gonna do it, or something along those lines. And I guess I think they said something like, are you stupid? There's three of us, and of course Amber's like, no, I'm not stupid. Then the Hardys music hits, and like you said, we get a classic Teddy Long booking. We're gonna throw everybody in a tag team match, player.
Yeah, and I think it was a good way to start. To be honest, biggest issue I have currently with both brands, to be honest, as a whole, is we always have the talk shows at the beginning. They always have to have some kind of a talk show to build things up. We ended up having it, we'll get to it for SmackDown, but we end up having it for SmackDown as well. They gotta stop doing that. It's getting repetitive.
Unpredictable.
But the match itself was good. I will give him credit on that. It could have been worse, and I think it was a good opening.
Except for the botch that Michael mentioned. I'm guessing it's the talk about how the Miz took the twist of fate at the very end there.
No, I thought it was a botched hot tag.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Well, the Miz took the twist of fate like in a very odd way.
Which is odd because the Miz is good at selling.
Yeah.
So, overall, like I said, it was a decent match. Always love to see the Hardy Boys on there. Now here's the weirdest thing to me, and I have a bunch of theories on this, which we can talk about too. Corey Graves gets up from ringside, goes backstage, shows Kurt Angle something on his phone, which is probably quote unquote nothing because it's TV. But something that Kurt Angle says could ruin his career. What in the hell do you guys think it could be?
I have something, but I'm not 100% certain. There was a specific word. Actually, hang on. Oh, man. Okay, I got a couple of theories. Okay, let me go with the first theory that I think it is, and then I'll get to the other one. A lot of people are pointing fingers at Stephanie. I'm not going down that route. One of the words that was used was besmirched. Who do we know that used that so often during his career?
Who?
NXT General Manager William Regal.
Oh.
I think there could be a possibility of that. The other one that I'm thinking about, and I don't know if I would necessarily how much I agree with this one. I've heard of this one. They're thinking it has something to do with possibility of tying whatever this is in with Adam Cole coming over to WWE.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would that ruin Kurt Angle as GM?
Don't know for certain. Now, I'll throw out the last thing that I've heard is the number one rumor, and that is the Stephanie McMahon. The reason that they're saying it's possibly her is because a theory that's been posed is that Stephanie has found out Kurt Angle's neck was actually fine when he won the gold medal, and that could be something that could ruin his career.
Why will they go back in history? And even
I don't know, but
I think that's a little far-fetched. They can't go back and be like, oh my god, his neck wasn't really broken.
Because it's WWE, that's why.
Yeah, but saying such accusation like that, what if by the odd chance that the people who, the people who run the Olympics were like watching that and they were like, oh my god, his neck wasn't really broken?
And I'd like to give a shout out to the person on Reddit who said that it was David Otunga that texted him.
It was Kevin Nash.
Yep. Could it possibly be?
He was texting. He was texting in any tour squad.
Well, I mean, could it possibly be like, information on who's been attacking Enzo Amare? I'm sure we're going to get to that here in just a little bit, but maybe it's like Corey Graves has information, and maybe just because this has been happening under Kurt Angle's watch, maybe that could ruin him. I really don't know, but it's a theory.
Maybe the thing that a lot of people are also saying is potentially it could have to do with Angle's opponent if he returns into the ring.
I was thinking it was going to lead up to a match maybe between Corey Graves and Kurt Angle.
I thought Graves was...
I think he was cleared to wrestle, but I think he himself chose to retire because of the concussions. That doesn't mean he can't have like one last match. Or maybe it could be a setup, a match between Kurt Angle and Triple H. Did you ever think about that?
Maybe, yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, that could definitely be that. And now, I guess we can go on to what we were talking about before, Elias Sampson and Zach Evans. Shouldn't probably waste too much time on this match. It was a squash match. You know, squash match that...
My favorite vegetable.
You know, yeah. Squash match that ended with Elias Sampson being victorious. And, you know... So then let's move on to the probably one of the best matches of the evening, if not the best match, Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt versus Samoa Joe. There was something going into this match that I didn't even think about, and I now know the reason why. The reason that Samoa Joe won is to keep his undefeated streak alive.
Undefeated streak?
Yeah. Samoa Joe has an undefeated streak.
Seth Rollins
beat
Samoa Joe.
His recent undefeated streak.
Oh. That doesn't make sense.
I don't know. That's just what I'm looking at here. Raw Fallout. Samoa Joe claims his recent undefeated streak will continue. Either case, that match was really, really awesome.
Like an undefeated streak on Raw? Is that what they're trying to say?
I'm guessing, yeah. Something.
I
don't know, but...
I don't know either.
Talk about the match, dang it. The match was really awesome. The way that it panned out, having the typical heel and how he won.
Dive.
Yeah, well, by throwing out Finn Balor and taking the win over Bray Wyatt.
It looked like a finish you would see in a lot of like triple threat matches on WWE 2K17 or something. Wait till somebody hits their finisher, then knock them out and run in the ring and steal the pin for yourself.
Well, that's the typical fashion of how to win a match. You know how it goes. And Bray Wyatt's promo against Samoa Joe is really good too. I don't know if you saw that before the match.
Yeah, I did. I mean, we've already said how Miz is good as far as promos. I think Bray Wyatt is actually really good too. A lot of times it doesn't make sense. It's the not making sense that makes it good in terms of the kind of character he's trying to portray.
Right.
I mean, I wonder. I would love to know if he's reading off a script or if they just let him ad lib. I'd love to know whose creation all that is, because it just seems like they let him go with it and do what he wants with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not certain, because it doesn't sound robotic. It doesn't sound red.
Yeah.
No, it's always something different every single time.
And if WWE can give Wyatt control of his character, at least talking wise, I'm sure they could do the same for the broken gimmick, but that's another story.
Right.
But yeah, that match was good the way it ended. And then should we discuss the cruiserweight matches? I mean, considering the next one was Rich Swann versus Noam Dar.
Well, I mean, all it really did was just continue on the feud that's culminating to a head at Extreme Rules. So.
Okay, and then I guess we can talk about this too. The surprising win by Titus O'Neil versus Kalisto.
It was surprising?
Yeah, the fact that Titus O'Neil actually picked up a win. I cannot remember the last time he even got a singles win on Raw or anything like that.
Right.
Aaron Young.
Oh, yeah.
Which was like, what, last summer? Like almost a year ago?
And then we have Enzo Amore being laid out once again. Nobody knowing who.
Yeah, and
We'll get into.
I love how last week I brought up it was Revival, and now they're pointing fingers at the Revival, which means it's probably not the Revival. Yay!
Right.
Yeah, they even brought it.
Speaking
They
of
even showed. They even showed the footage that you brought up last week.
Exactly.
So, and Michael and I were watching Raw at the same time, and I even brought that up to him. I said, wow, you know, I think I said something like, it's like if it turned out to be the Revival, you know, Seth is a freaking genius because he brought up, you know, that footage or that interview last week when they were just randomly in the background, and here they bring it up this week on Raw. But I'm still sticking. It's just looking more and more obvious that it was Big Cass. I hope it was, and I hope it's some sort of swerve. But right now, it's looking obvious.
It's looking real obvious. And that's
I mean, if they hadn't brought up the whole Revival thing, I would have thought still it's a chance that it's them. But now it's kind of almost like, you know, now you can check them off the list.
I really, really hope that they don't break up Big Cass and Enzo, because WWE has no faith in Enzo except for when he's with Big Cass, and I know this for a fact.
Well, here's the big thing. I mean, like, how many times were they number one contenders? Like 3 times, and never won the titles. I think they've pretty much figured they've gone as far as they can go. No sense giving another push.
I don't know what their thinking is here when it comes to this. Why because remember, they never got the tag titles done at NXT. And now they've been on the roster, for the main roster, for over a year now, and they're yet to put the belts on them. I thought for sure they were going to do that at WrestleMania until the Hardys came back. But I mean, but what is their thought process here? I mean, these guys, they always get a loud pop every time their music hits. Enzo Amore, I could listen to his opening promo all day long. You know, are they just thinking, you know, these guys are already over as it is, they really don't need the belts, or what?
I don't know, but I know that I heard Triple H once tell back in the day that they were going to release Enzo Amore, but because he can talk good on the mic, they were actually going to kind of keep him. I don't know.
The thing I'm wondering is, can Cass be a portrayable heel?
He's got the build of one, that's for sure, given his size.
Yeah, now it'd be good. Remember, Cass has had one main event push, I think, so far since Raw. And
right.
That was, and now it wasn't even, and it was that fatal 4-way elimination match that when Kevin Owens won the belt after Triple H screwed Rollins.
Yep. Remember where was that with it? Where was that at?
That was back a few weeks after SummerSlam.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Awkward silence.
Alright. Now that we have that, we have... Yeah, let's go back to your point, the Revival talking backstage, showing all the footage and stuff. What about a deal... and this is going to be funny to say this too, because Dave Meltzer said this too. The pathetic segment with Alexa Bliss and Bayley from Raw.
Yeah,
I don't really think that did much of anything, to be honest.
It really didn't. I mean, I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Meltzer. It was somebody else.
Was it the person with Dave Meltzer?
Might have been. I don't remember who it was, though, but they basically brought up the fact that this was a white flag of surrender by WWE, stating that they can't come up with original material. They have to go back into the Vince Russo days and rehash something.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
You know, I kept hearing that they did this segment as like a little bit of an insult to Vince Russo. Like, did he say something recently that pissed people off backstage, or what? Because, yeah, like you said, this is right out of the Vince Russo playbook. Remember the classic one between Mankind and The Rock, which was freaking awesome back in the day. But this, you know, everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Alexa Bliss, but I mean, And, she did a great job with a really bad segment. I really feel bad for her. But I keep hearing a lot of people saying that this was just a jab to Vince Russo. So did he say something here recently or what?
I'm not sure. Very could have. He could have well been. But you never know. I think that almost.
I think I
covers...
remember hearing that he actually did, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Or was it either he did, or actually no, I think he did after the Bliss Bailey segment actually.
Because right after Raw, of course, was the latest episode of Table for Three featuring Michael Hayes, Jim Cornette, and Eric Bischoff, and we all know Jim Cornette's hatred towards Vince Russo, and that was brought up a couple of times during that show. So it's really making me wonder: are they really trying to bury Russo for something?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, never know with these guys. I mean, they talk about backstage being so good, but there's a lot of backstage heat between everybody. And the whole thing between what about the Goldust promo getting interrupted by R-Truth quoting lines from Pulp Fiction?
This is actually, this started out as a feud that, let's be honest, hardly anybody cared about. I mean, just the way they've used Goldust and R-Truth as a tag team, it was, you could never take them seriously. They were just nothing but a comedy act. And even when Goldust turned a couple of weeks ago, there really wasn't a whole lot of, crowd reaction whatsoever. But, the last couple of weeks, we've seen these old school classic Goldust promos of him in the director's chair, and he even has his face paint is back to, how it was back in, back in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era. So, I mean, they're really going old school with him, which I really like. Yeah. And what we saw with him and R-Truth, this is actually, making me look forward to their match.
I don't know. We'll see. Seth, anything to comment on that?
No, basically Kyle said everything I was going to say. I think that they've, basically taken what was I don't want to say boring, but getting old as far as the Golden Truth, and they're making something out of it because, we know that Truth is actually, when he's serious, actually is not that bad in putting together good matchups. Think back to him and John Morrison. Yeah. So I think this was a good decision on their part.
When he decided to smoke a cigarette live on TV.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering if this might be getting close to Goldust's
retirement.
Yeah.
Yep. That's still the rumors say. But anyways, yeah, I do kind of look forward to it. Alright, well, I guess now we can move on to the main event, which is a match we've never seen before, ever. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins.
No, I mean, obviously that was sarcasm. We have seen this match before, but, those two have always been good together in the ring, so, I mean, I didn't mind it.
They have, but to be honest, I kind of wish I had seen a little bit more of, not as much mind games, but kind of putting some doubt in your mind of, the two suddenly remembering, oh yeah, we're going up against each other in a fatal 5-way at Extreme Rules. Let's try and injure the other before we get to that pay-per-view, so that way I have a bit of an advantage or something. Whereas it was just a regular match, just a regular one-on-one.
Right. Yeah.
Both of them are face. They're both booked as faces. One gets a reaction that a face would normally get. The other one is treated like the biggest heel in the company, but he's really booked as a baby face. But that's probably why.
Yep. All right, and I think that about covers it for Raw. What would you guys rate it on a 5-star scale? The whole episode of Raw.
Maybe a 2.
Yeah, I'd say about a 2.5.
Yeah, I'm about the same. Yeah.
It had some good moments to it. It had some good matches, but like most weeks, it just seemed to drag on and on and on. It's like, why?
It seemed like a carbon copy of last week.
Is this a 3-hour show? Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I guess now we can make the jump to Smackdown. Tuesday night, we finally saw the return of the New Day with, we're going to kind of skip around here, with the New Day and the Usos. So, that was an interesting segment, I guess.
Yeah, and it made me cry because it means Breezango's not in the title picture anymore.
Yep, but yet they're still doing their fashion file.
I know. So happy about that.
What about the match between the Breezango and the Colons?
Loved it.
Yeah, that was definitely a good
I'm
match.
sorry. I know that they're the comedy, but Breezango's
It's
my new
good
favorite
comedy.
tag team.
It's good comedy.
It's a good combination of comedy and good wrestling at the same time, and we get to see the comedic side of Tyler Breeze and Fandango, but they also get to show how good they are in the ring, and that's
And the
really the most
writing-
important part.
The writing for the segments is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, they did that whole, what was it supposed to be, like a film noir this week? Something. It was like, I mean, I don't know where they come up with this stuff, but every time that I've seen a segment with them, it makes me smile.
Good, that's always good. With that, what about the Randy Orton Jinder Mahal segment? I think that was bland.
It was. It
just
really was.
Just Randy coming out saying, "Oh, I'm gonna win the title. It's my only chance at winning. My only option is to win." Jinder Mahal's music plays. He appears on the screen, says a bunch of stuff that nobody really cared about or got a reaction to, which is odd because he's been getting a lot of heat lately. And that was about it.
Yeah, that was the time when there was a flood of people going to the concession stands.
Yeah, and which is the way they've handled this whole thing. Ever since Backlash, it's been kind of weird. We talked about the big celebration that they had for Jinder Mahal last week on SmackDown, and how we both expect. I think a lot of us expected Randy Orton to come in there and interrupt and attack Jinder Mahal or something. During this entire promo, I kept, at the very end, I expected either, the Singh brothers or, to attack Randy right afterward, or maybe even Jinder Mahal attack him after that, saying, "Oh, that was a pre-recorded segment" or something.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're getting at. Like when he was doing his hand thing when he was up on the ropes, I was expecting something to happen, but it never did. It just went to commercial, and I'm sitting here like, what the hell? Yeah, that was... And
the bad part is, too, because we know that Lesnar's not going to be showing up till Great Balls of Fire, so, the Universal title's out of the picture. That kind of makes the WWE Championship the #1 title, and it actually had relevance when they had the whole, swap over to Jinder, because people were like, wow, that's a shocker. But now we're going to have the same old thing, and Orton's not got the charisma to, make the feud
Orton just doesn't
worthwhile.
care.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't.
I don't want to say a puppet, but he's just a robot. He has no emotion. He just goes out there, says his lines, does his little thing, and then that's it. Orton just doesn't care. I want to say he's still on his second strike. So he's just not himself anymore. So let's move on to talk about the two matches that pretty much made the night the best. Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens and Baron Corbin, and then the SmackDown main event, AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler. So let's start with the tag team match first. Kyle, you start.
Yeah, like we mentioned, we were talking about Raw. SmackDown starts out with a talk show type segment, and there's some interruptions, and then we get a tag team match. Same, saw that on Raw, and we saw that on SmackDown. So it wasn't, surprising to start out like that, but I thought this was a pretty good tag team match.
It was. Four of the 6 participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match go at it in a tag team match that was really good. Ended with Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn getting the win. Seth, your thoughts?
Well, one thing that was brought up on What Culture was, not exactly thrilled that Kevin Owens took the pinfall. However, you think about it, this helps to set them up for the future after Money in the Bank, because it looks like Shinsuke is going to be the #1 contender for the U.S. title. So, with getting 2 pinfall victories over Kevin Owens, both this week and last week.
But what about
Secondly,
AJ Styles?
Well, hold on. Secondly, well, that's true. Styles is in line as well, but I think Shinsuke's, this is obviously going to make a case for him to further on down the line be in the hunt. Secondly, Owens doesn't look weak because he actually got turned on by Corbin. So they did a really good job of balancing it out where neither one of them really looked weak. One looks like he actually got the legitimate pinfall. The other one looks like he ended up getting, pushed into that situation, not of his own accord. So, and this is the difference between Raw and SmackDown, because, let's go back. We were just talking about Raw's main event, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns gets a clean pinfall over Seth Rollins immediately. Reigns looks good going into the Fatal 5-Way. Rollins doesn't. There was no balance there. It didn't make them look like equals going into that matchup. Here in this matchup, it made everybody look like equals because everybody had either a legitimate claim or they ended up getting pushed into a situation not of their own making. So the balance was perfect, and now everybody looks like they got an equal chance going into the ladder match.
Yeah, that's good too, actually. So, and that keeps it up like that, so it makes it to where you can't just predict the winner.
Exactly.
So, okay, and that match was at least that was a 3.5 to a 4-star match, that tag team match was.
Yeah, it was definitely good.
Now let's go on to what could possibly have been the match of the night, and that was AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, no question, it was the match of the night for me.
Yeah, that was a hell of a match.
And again, talking about the balance of momentum, I mean, let's be honest, Styles was going to be a favorite going in no matter what. I think of the 6, odd man out that looked like the complete underdog that was just going to be in there for filler was Ziggler. You give him a pinfall victory over Styles and everybody's like, wait a minute, hold on, let me second guess myself. This just elevated his chances up to be equal. Yeah, elevated his chances to be up with those other 5. While I don't like the fact that Styles lost clean, I think this was really smart booking to make all 6 look equal heading into Money in the Bank.
That was the biggest surprise for me, was Styles putting Ziggler over clean. How that went, I figured. Like, it doesn't surprise me that Styles didn't get the win. They were in Atlanta, Georgia. Styles is from Georgia, so the Golden Rule.
Oh, Rip, I didn't realize that. I should have realized Styles wasn't going to win going in if I realized we were in Atlanta.
Yeah, because we all know the secret rule is a wrestler's not allowed to go over in their hometown or home state.
By the way, good luck, Randy in St. Louis. You're not winning.
Yeah.
Right, I forgot about that.
But I expected Ziggler to get some sort of heelish win or there'd be interference to cause the match to end in no contest or whatever. So that really surprised me that they had the match all the way through and it was a clean win for Dolph Ziggler.
I had a question. Did you notice where the pinfall took place? It was really close to the ropes. Do you think they botched something there where Styles was supposed to have a hand under the rope or something?
No.
I don't think so.
Just wondering. Just throwing a little controversy out there.
No, don't throw controversy out there. Well,
but I mean, it is interesting because
yeah.
Ziggler couldn't beat Shinsuke, but yet he's able to beat Styles. It's like, okay, well.
Well, Ziggler didn't look weak at all in his match with Shinsuke, though. I mean, that was
it was a very great match.
True.
In my opinion, I mean, just to see that Dolph Ziggler still has it. I've always had faith in Ziggler a lot, even when he was, even when being champion. This guy is great at wrestling. He sells a lot. He just gets himself concussed too much.
This is interesting too. Because I was honestly, and this is the truth, I was not expecting to see Sami Zayn back on television on Tuesday. I thought that with the attack that Baron Corbin did, they were going to write him off as not being able to be medically cleared to be at Money in the Bank, and then Rusev was going to take his place. So now
that ruined your prediction.
Yep.
And well, I think that about wraps it up for.
We got a couple weeks. Somebody else could still get written off.
That's true, yeah. That about wraps it up. 205 Live, was 205 Live. Not a lot of people care about they had a rematch. Rich Swann versus Noam Dar, Cedric Alexander, Corey Hollis, I don't even know who that is. I didn't really watch it. Neville making Austin Aries tap out or responding to what he did to him on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, Neville better give TJ Perkins his title match because, check out YWC predictions. I'm predicting that title's switching hands to Aries, so if Perkins is going to get his title shot against Neville, it better be quick.
Yep. Alright, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back next week to cover the pay-per-view and Raw and SmackDown. So, see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.